Namaskar, everybody. So today is Thursday, our day to study Astavakra Gita. But before we do that, let's open up page number 141, mantra number 43 from Yajurved. And I'm sure some of you know this mantra. It's a very popular one when we do the puja. Om Dhyau Shantirak अंतरिक्षम शांति पृथ्वी शांतिरापः शांति औषधयः शांति वनस्पतयः शांति विश्वे देवा शांति ब्रह्म शांति सर्व शांतिरेव शांति सामा शांति रेधि। हे प्रभु, आपकी कृपा से संसार में सर्वत्र शांति का वास हो, सभी और सुख ही सुख हो, जड़ चेतन सभी स्वस्थ हो, ठीक रहें, पृथ्वी पर सर्वत्र शांति का संचार हो, कलह क्लेश आदि कहीं भी ना हो, आकाश और अंतरिक्ष से किसी विध भी दुख ना आए, वे शांत रहें, पांच तत्व पृथ्वी जल अग्नि वायु आकाश में बिगाड़ ना आए, वे प्रदूषित ना हो और सुखदायी बने रहें, उनकी शुद्धि से वनस्पतियां आदि भी शुद्ध और गुणकारी बनी रहें। प्रभु, प्रार्थना है कि यहाँ हर प्रकार से शांति ही शांति हो और आपकी कृपा से मैं भी आपको स्मरण करता रहूं और शांति से रहूं। This is the foundation of our religion. शांति, शांति के दूत। शांति का संचार होए जग में मेरे राम, दुख व दर्द अशांति का हो नहीं कहीं नाम। पृथ्वी का भूचाल जो, समुद्र का तूफान, वज्रपात आकाश का करे नहीं परेशान। रहें स्वस्थ शरीर सब, होना कभी बीमार, पांचों तत्व शुद्ध रहें, दूर रहें विकार। फल फूल और औषधियां नाना विध के अन्न, शुद्ध मिले वे जगत को, रहे जगत प्रसन्न। हे मालिक तेरी जगताई, कर रही विकृत सब समुदाय, बिगाड़े उन्हें तत्व सारे, उपज रहे हैं रोग बहुबारे। करो मानव की बुद्धि ठीक, चाले नहीं वे पथ अलीक। Pretty clear message. At least we should do our part, right? Wherever we go, whatever we do, be responsible for our actions and our emotions also. That's why I was talking about the emotions earlier. Positive. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parbrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuva Swaha Tatsavitra Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Asto Ma Satgamya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya मृत्योर्मा अमृतम गम्या। ओम सहना भवतु सहनाओ भुनक्तु सहवीर्यं करवावहि तेजस्वी नावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि। ओम शांति 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 ओम। We are on chapter 18 of Astavakra Gita. And Rishi Astavakra is giving very deep knowledge to Janaka and to us also. Okay. Sometimes the depth of the knowledge is so profound. If we try to just understand it intellectually and we haven't done the sadhana, doesn't make any sense. So that's why doing the sadhana wherever we are, it's very important. So reading is okay, understanding is okay, but doing our sadhana is very important. So last verse we did last week was 42. So today we're going to start with 43. Shuddham advayam atmanam bhavyanti kubuddhya na tu jananti hi samohat yavat jivam anivritah. Shuddham, pure, advayam, without a second. Atmanam, the self. Bhavyanti, meditate. Kubuddhya, men of dull intellect. Na means not, tu is but, jananti, realize. Samohat, due to delusion. Yavat jivam, as long as they live. Nirvritaha, unhappy. Those of dull intellectual meditate upon the Atma as pure and one without a second, but they do not realize it. Through delusion, they remain unhappy as long as they live. What is he saying? What he's trying to tell us that we got to let go of our identification with the intellect. Because our identification with the intellect is so powerful, so strong. So even a student of meditation likes to remain as a mere intellectual being, trying with the ideas. These are the ideas of the pure self, one without a second. So with these terms of meditation, they do not really meditate because they are still getting attached to the upadhis. It's like a not letting go of that ladder to climb on the roof. So the mind is a ladder. Intellect is a ladder too. That's what he's trying to tell us. Okay. So because they only tie themselves down with these suggestive ideas. So these ideas are not bad, but these are still the ideas. Experience is not there. So we have to understand that the meditation is the means to awake and to realize. But ultimately the goal is to be the self is the goal. Experience it. So that's why even though a person who has studied a lot can speak a lot, can talk about it, but if there's no experience, they just only try to become. It's nothing to become. And that's what we learned last week also from a few verses back. So over here, he's calling us, if we just still stay at the lower stages, kubuddhya. I know it's a very strong word, but he's just really hitting it hard so that we can be awakened. So the dull intellects, they somehow retain deep in themselves the unconscious idea that some self is something to be perceived, to be gained, to be achieved. Atma is not an object to be gained. Atma is the subject, the very being of the meditator, and it can never be objectified. And don't understand from here that we should not think of the self, because thinking about the nature of the self is the only way we can turn our mind away from the preoccupations of this objective world. But the final leap, that's what he's talking about, the final goal. At the end, see, okay, climbing on the ladder is important, but ultimately you got to let go of the ladder to jump on the roof. That's what he's trying to tell us. So we don't want to let go of the ladder beforehand, but towards the end also, we just don't want to keep on hugging the ladder. Time comes that final leap needs to be taken. That is not to become Brahma, but just to be Brahma. Okay? Be Brahma. So because Brahma is not a state to become, it is just to be. We are this. We are the Atma. So we don't have to become Atma. We don't have to go somewhere to buy it, to have it. We got to just raise our consciousness to that level. So that's why he says that people who just stay, they keep on practicing, but they just stay unhappy because they want to become it. And you cannot become it. Mumukshoho buddhi alambnam
Excuse me,
antarein.
Hershji. This is
Yes,
Raj.
Raj.
Little bit not clear about one thing. You said about the ladder and to let go of the ladder. So is that the ladder of knowledge that once you reach a certain point, you kick the ladder off?
Ladder of the knowledge also, ladder of the practice also.
You're
Okay,
saying let
because
go of the
first,
practice?
practice also sadhana. So we don't want to become a worshipper of our sadhana. Sadhana is the means.
I see.
Okay, whether we are doing the sadhana with our body or sadhana with the intellect, sadhana with the mind. Okay, so this is a meditation also, that's a sadhana. So he is trying to make our mind clear towards the means and the goal. Okay, do not stay stuck with the means.
Okay.
The means are to attain the goal. Okay, so that's what he's saying. Okay.
Thanks.
So mumukshoho buddhi alambam antarein na vidyate niralambha ev nishkamaha buddhi muktasya sarvada. Mumuksho, of one aspiring from liberation. Buddhi, intellect, alambam, support. Antarein, without. Na vidyate, not remains. Nir alamba, without any support. Ev means surely, nishkamaha, free from desires. Buddhi, intellect, muktasya, of the liberated one, sarvada, ever. The intellect of one who aspires for liberation cannot function without a supporting object. But the desireless intellect of the liberated one is indeed ever without any support. Any support over here really means the meditation. Meditation. So the desire for liberation is a very strong power to be used in the early stages. So for spiritual sadhana, this desire to liberate is important. But this anxiety, if it remains even towards the end, it does not let us take the final leap. It's just we are tying ourselves down then. So that's why he says one who aspires for liberation is the one who has not yet gained the self. See, first we got to let go of the worldly desires. But we got to have this desire to liberate. But after that, let go of that desire also. Only then you'll be fully liberated. The freedom will be there then. So the liberated one has cleansed his intellect. See, we are trying to clean our mind and intellect. So even his desire to liberate, so that's why when he's meditating, there's no support. So he is meditating without any support. So support means no ideas. He has detached himself completely from that higher desire also. But we should not let go of the desire to know, desire to liberate in the early stages. Okay?
Hershey,
Yes.
good
Yes,
morning.
please.
Would you say that the last stage more like naturally happens
Yes.
rather than trying to do it?
Yeah, naturally it does happen, but we want to make sure we know it too.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, this intellect of ours will not like to let it go. So that's why he's pointing our attention towards it. It will go automatically, definitely. It's like last time I told you, desire to sleep. When you're sleeping, it will go away.
Okay.
Right? So this desire will go and it should go.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay? When the experiencer and the experienced are not two different factors.
Yeah.
Okay?
You
You
become
remember
one.
in the Bhagavad Puran, what were those words? Dhyata and Dhyaya. The person who's experiencing, the person who's meditating. And the goal of the meditation also, that's the Dhyaya. There's no difference at all.
So you merge and you become one.
Yes, you merge. But in order to merge, you got to know that where are we going? What is happening? So that's why this knowledge is important at this point. Okay? To be awakened to the self is to be the self. So it's almost like when a dreamer wakes up, we call him a waker. So the dreamer, when he awakes, he becomes the very waker. So to be awakened to the self is to be the self. Vishyaha dvipinaha vikshe chakitaha sharnarthana vishanti chatiti kronam nirodh ekagram siddhye. Vishya, sense objects. Dvipina, tigers. Vikshaya, encountering. Chakita, the frightened one. Sharnarthina, seeking refuge. Vishanti, enter. Jhatiti, at once. See, there is a Hindi word, jhatpat, right? Jhatiti, at once. Krondam, the cave. Nirodh ekagre siddhye, for attaining control and concentration. See, ekagrata is concentration. Nirodh is control. Okay, and siddhya means being successful in that. Encountering the tigers of sense objects, the frightened ones seeking refuge at once enter the cave of the mind for the attainment of control and concentration. That's what we do. In the initial stages, we want to be aware of these tigers. These are the sense objects. So seekers in the beginning should try to turn their attention away from all sense enjoyments. Because otherwise, if we are just losing our time and losing all the energy only into the sense pleasures, sense enjoyments. So how do we do that? How do we stay away from these tigers? He says by remembering the Lord and entering the cave within. And this cave is the equipment of our mind and intellect. So this is the pratyahar, that our senses like to go inward, just control those senses. Pratyahar. Withdrawing the sense attention from the enchanting objects. They are enchanting. That's why what happened to us when we were in the womb of our mother, we promised to God that this time around, I will be fully awake. I will progress on this path. But the minute we got out, we just, this enchantment of the objects. And some of us really, not only from the womb of our mother, when we came out of the womb of our country, we came to this world, more enchantments. The things which we never saw before, they became so alluring to us. We forgot our culture even, our language also, our scriptures also, and definitely our goal also. So over here he's saying, withdrawing the sense attention from the enchanting objects, redirect the mind to the greater reality. That is the antidote for the sensuous excitements. Senses want to go outwardly, just every day, make sure turn them inward. So these are the early days of practice. Because there's no other remedy. This cannot be bought. In fact, this cannot be taught either. Ultimately, you got to practice it yourself. Nobody else can do it for us. Just like if I'm hungry, somebody can cook for me, somebody can give it to me, but ultimately I have to eat it and digest it. The same thing happens over here also on this path. The seekers have no other remedy available to them if we are a seeker. So over here, Rishi Astavakra is advising us that gain sufficient equanimity in yourself. So he says that liberated in life are never frightened of the sense objects. Liberated in life, the Jivan Mukta, they are not afraid. But we are not Jivan Mukta yet. So we need to do the sadhana. Okay? So they may not have to escape in the cave, but we have to escape in the cave. There is a beautiful Upanishad there, which is called Brihad Aryanak Upanishad. Over there, the Rishi says, Dvitiyat ve bhayam bhavati. The perception of the other is indeed the source of all fear. Perception of the other. But when a person has risen to that level, there's no other. Then there's no fear. Fear is always from the other. From ourselves, we are never afraid. Right? Nobody says, no, I'm afraid of my right hand, which is stronger than my left. No. Other. So, but in the beginning, we do perceive the others. Okay? So to run into the mind is in fact equivalent to running into the mouth of the sense objects themselves. So we need to learn how to lift ourselves up. Because if we keep on just entering into the mind all the time, initially sure, entering into the mind is needed, but it's like horizontal progress. We need to make the vertical progress. Rise above this mind also. We don't want to say that, no, I've been hiding into the cave of my mind 5 years ago also, 10 years ago also, and I'm going to still keep on doing the same. We got to remember there is something higher than the mind also, higher than the intellect also. So vertical growth has to be there, the vertical movement into the higher planes of consciousness. Only then we can move away from the shackles of the mind. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Nirvasanam harim drishtvaha tushnem vishedantina palyayante na shaktaha te sevante krit chatva. Nirvasanam. I'm sure you're familiar with this word now. Nirvasanam. Without any desire. Desireless. Harim. lion. Drishtva, encountering. Tush, name, quietly. Vishedantina, the elephants of sense objects. Playante, run away. Na shaktaha, na means not, shakta means able. Te means they. Sevante, serve. Krit chatva, flattering courtiers. See, just like we saw that in Ramayana. The Ravan's ministers, the courtiers, what did they do? They just said the things which he wanted to hear. Flattering. So encountering the desireless man lion, the elephants of sense objects quietly run away. Or if unable to run away, serve him like flattering courtiers. So the glory of a Jivan Mukta or a man of perfection is pointed out here. So he's indicating it to us that how he lives among the sense objects, but unmolested by them. Okay, they don't have any effect on him. So the sense objects run after him to serve him faithfully. So it's just like they flatter him, but he still stays detached from them. He is not affected by them. Okay, so why nirvasan is desireless? Because desires are the expressions of the vasanas. See, vasana word normally we use at a subtler level. Desires, they have taken the form of desires when they are little grosser. Desires we are aware of. Vasanas we are not aware of. But if there's no vasana, there won't be any desire. It's just like if there's no seeds, there won't be any sprouts. Okay? So the desires are the expressions of the vasanas in our intellect. So person who has no vasanas, no desires. See, it is the desire to enjoy in us which creates the entanglement in the sense objects. So over here in this verse, Astavakra is saying a desireless person perceives the objects, but he is not affected by them. Doesn't mean that he doesn't perceive it, but there's no fluctuation in his mind. It's almost like, just think about, if you take your grandchild to a toy store, the grandchild is excited, wants to buy every toy also, and the excitement is there, but not in you. You are also in a toy store. So the same thing. So this liberated person, Jivan Mukta, is in this world. All the objects are around him, but no effect on the mind. Okay. So just like you don't have any effect on from the toys, because there's no vasanas. You have grown out of them. So the liberated person moves about in the world without any vasana in him. So sense objects cannot enchant him.
Hershji,
Yes.
the sense objects are they just objects, or they could be circumstances and
Anything other than the Atma.
Right.
And Paramatma. Anything. Object really means the objects we can touch, object we can feel, objects are the ideas also. They're also called objects. They're all vishay.
Any stimuli.
Yes.
Anything
Which takes you away from yourself.
Right.
That's why I normally tell you that Utreshna, Viteshna, Lokeshna. So when you just look at those three, Ishna means the desire. So at all three levels, Okay, it could be the relationships, it could be any kind of a wealth also, it could be any kind of a fame also, what people call you. And why do people call you smart or not so smart? Because of the ideas. You are not the ideas. You are not the things you have. You are not how you look. So anything. So Vishay means anything. So he called, so it's really very strong word he uses, Vishya Dantina. So the sense objects can entrap only a mind that is seduced with its own desires.
He calls it the elephants over here. The elephants.
Yeah, elephants. Yes. It's so big. It's so powerful. Okay.
Thank you.
They say the desireless man, person who doesn't have a desire, is a lion among the elephants of sense objects. Normally, that's how they describe. Even though the elephant is very strong, but that they run away also. Urpil cannot hear me. She keeps sending the message. She says my microphone is on. So elephants are powerful creatures, but they cannot encounter the king because lion is considered the king of beasts. So elephants, what do? They run away when the lion comes. Okay, so that's why he has used the word lion and the elephants to bring it to our attention. If you remember Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, what is the title of chapter 11? Just raise your hand if you know. Okay, yeah, you should know. You should know. Okay, chapter 11. Chapter 11, verse number 59 is declaring the same idea. Vishyaha vinirvatantehe niraharasya dehina rasvarjam raso apyasye paramdrishtva nirvartate. The objects of the senses turn away from the abstinent man, leaving the longing behind. But his longing also turns away on seeing the Supreme. Why there's no attachment towards the objects? Because this person has found something more beautiful or bigger than the objects. Because we turn away, see, like in that example of a little child and a parent or a grandparent, there's no enchantment from those toys. Because enchantment in something else. So this person, Jivan Mukta, is drawing that bliss, that happiness, that joy from the Supreme. So that's why Rasvarjanam Raso Apasye Param Drishtva Nirvartate. Param means the Supreme. After seeing the Supreme, everything else is superficial. For whom? Who has gotten that rasa. And our goal is to drink that rasa. That is our goal. So he over here, he's just adding this thought in our mind. That remember that sense objects do not fall prey to them. Because that is the main problem. Even those three, Uteshna, Viteshna, Lokeshna, sometimes it's very easy to let go of the relatives if they don't listen to us. The children, if they don't listen, we say, okay, all right. Just do whatever you want to do. But the wealth is very important to us. And ultimately, wealth also, people spend so much wealth to have some kind of a name and fame. It could be in politics. It could be any other area. Spending your own money, the money which will not give it to anybody else, but for location. But these are all the objects. So he is bringing our attention towards the highest. न मुक्तिः कारिकां धते निशङ्कः युक्त मानसा पश्यन् श्रवन् सपृशन् जिघ्रन् अश्नन् आस्ते यथा सुखम्. Na means not, mukti karikam, practices of control as a means to liberation. Dhate adopts, nishankaha, free from doubts. See, shanka is the doubt, nishanka, free from doubts. Yukta manasa, one whose mind is identified with the self. Yukta means union, okay? Pashyan means seeing, Shrivan is hearing, Saprishan touching, Jigran smelling, Ashnan eating, Aste lives, Yatha Sukham happily. Yatha Sukham word he repeated many times before also in previous chapters. He who is free from doubts and has his mind identified completely with the self never resorts to the practices of control as a means to liberation. Seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, and eating, he lives happily. So in other words, he has reached to that level where he does see, but he understands that I am not seeing. Eyes are seeing. Tongue is tasting. So a person who has identified himself completely to the self is an awakened person. There's no more egocentric individuality. That's what he's trying to tell us. Because without ego and desires, actions in outside world are not actions. Now that person has become a akarmi. He has reached to the level which Lord Krishna mentioned in the 5th chapter, Karam Sannyas Yoga. The similar kind of a terminology came over there also. So they are no more actions. They are called pseudo acts. Other people might think that he's acting. He's eating also. He's sleeping also. He's serving also. But there's no ego. I'm not doing it. My body is doing it. I am not the body. That's what he's talking about over here. So the liberated in life is untainted, ever untouched by these natural functions also of the sense organs: seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, and eating. See, according to the prarabdha, he still is in the body. So body is functioning. But identification with the body has been removed. So the liberated sage is unaffected by the normal activities of his sense organs. He is not in his body. Okay? And he is not in his mind. His mind is in him. That means the mind has been absorbed into the Atma. See, our mind is absorbed into the objects. His mind has been in him now. It has reverted back. So So that's why these activities of the sense organs cannot affect him. See, just like with the heat of the sun, water evaporates. We know that. And then what happens to that water? It becomes clouds. And clouds, they rain down. Can that rain ever wet the sun? No. So that's what has happened to this person. Okay. And can we say that the sun has created the rain? Or would there be a rain if the sun were not there? Okay. So think it deeply. Vastu Shravan Matren, Shuddh Buddhi Nirakula, Na Ev Acharan, Anacharam, Odasyam Va Prapashyati. Vastu Shravan Matren, by mere listening to the real. Shuddh Buddhi, who has attained pure intellect. Nirakula, serene. Na means not, Ev is indeed acharam, proper conduct. Anacharam, improper conduct, opposite of this previous one. Udasyam, indifference. See, it's like a udasin. Va means or, prapashyati, sees. Having established in his pure intellect and having become serene by a mere listening to the real, the wise one no more sees what is proper and improper action, or even what is in action. Just listening. If you have done your job before, all your sadhana has been done, just in the presence of a guru, listening to the guru will make a difference because you are ready. So by eliminating the desire and the ego, that's what he's saying in the first line. By eliminating the desire and the ego, the intellect becomes calm and serene. If we don't find serenity and calmness in us, it's because of gushing desires. There's no quietness. That buddhi is not a shuddh buddhi. Shuddh buddhi means, or the doubts have been removed, and there's a calmness in that intellect. Because whenever there's a doubt, that means there's a lot of upheaval in that intellect. See, that's why what do? We surrender our intellect over Guru. It's a head, we bend down. Because that's where the knowledge needs to go. So a person who has cultivated this kind of intellect, equanimity is there continuously. Just a mere listening to a master's discourse about the reality is sufficient to turn his mind towards this higher. Just a few words spoken by the master, the guru. Because there's no worldly desires. And there's no ray of his mind entangled in the worldly objects. So it's like a spontaneously. See, sometimes we wonder, some people, they just spontaneously, they get enlightened. Because all they needed was to be in the company of this kind of a person, the guru. Because they have done the work before, and the presence or some words spoken by the guru makes a big difference. So spontaneously, he is awakened to the experience, which is called transcendental experience. He becomes liberated in life. And he is no more the doer and no more the enjoyer. Kartapan, bhoktapan. What is proper, what is improper actions? Doesn't even matter anymore. So the liberated living in the higher consciousness does not really belong to this world anymore. Because in this world where we live, there are a lot of rules. This is proper, this is improper. He is no more a native of our globe. This is what happens. Okay, so I think it's about time I should stop it over here. So any question, comment, we'll start with 49 next week. Okay.
Rita has a question.
Okay, Rita.
Hersh, can you explain a little bit more when you said desires are result of vasanas? If no vasana, no desire.
Yeah. Yeah, because vasanas are like seeds. So if there are no seeds, where will the new plants grow?
So like suppose we have the desire to play with our grandkids or take care of them. These are all because of vasanas.
Of course.
Otherwise, we shouldn't have that feeling even. Should we have that feeling or not? If suppose you have no vasana, you shouldn't have the feeling of playing with your grandkids or...
You can play with them. It's not that you should not play. But inside, if you still have that inkling, that means there are
vasanas. So if you have a
playing is not playing with the kids, teaching the kids, taking care of the kids is not a problem.
But because you have a liking, you want to do that.
Yeah, when you have a liking and when you cannot do it, then there's a disturbance and that means there's a vasana.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, vasana, where do the vasanas come from? Vasanas are stored in our chit.
So that came from your past life?
Past life also, this life also. Okay. It could be yesterday, it could be last month, it could be the childhood. Okay. We just kept on putting something in there, the thoughts. Okay, they just take roots in there. Okay, so normally the cycle goes sanskar, the impressions. From there comes the vasanas, then comes the desires, then comes the actions. Then actions, again it becomes the fruit of the action. Karam phal. From the karam phal, again sanskar. So this cycle keeps on going. Okay. So with us, we have brought in our mind. It's all part of our chit, the deeper part of our mind. So some we brought, some we cultivated in this life also.
Okay.
The company we keep has a lot of effect on us. So that's why people say, no, others are doing it, I better do it too. Company is watching others, copying others without thinking it through. We keep on adding more and more into the bag of our vasanas. Okay? And these are our vasanas and we need to get rid of them. Yeah. Yes, Jyoti.
Manju Malhotra.
Yes, Manju.
Sorry, namaste.
Namaste.
Could you talk about that example you gave, the sun and the rain? Again,
Yeah.
What was the idea behind
Okay.
it?
See, I said that the heat of the sun made the water evaporate.
Yeah.
Okay. So sun is like what? Sun is like our Atma.
Okay.
Okay. With the energy of the Atma, we did the actions. Actions were done. But can we blame the Atma? No. So that's why I gave that example. Without the Atma, actions cannot be taken place. But if we just start blaming the Atma, no, we cannot. So that's why the sun cannot be blamed to heat up the water, make the clouds and the rain. It just happens. So we need to know the source. And the source is in our own personality, our Atma.
Okay, source.
So in that sense, I said it. Without the sun, rain cannot evaporate. Without the Atma, we cannot function. But at the same time, we got to have a little separation from us and what is we are playing in also.
Basically, do you mean the energy is always of the
Yes.
Atma. We can say, like you can say, oh, it's God's energy, whatever I did.
Yeah.
But again, you as a human being, you are given the intellect, and
Yes.
the energy is directed, but in the sense you are responsible for your discrimination, elevate your intellect.
Exactly.
You cannot say,
Use
like
it. Yeah, use it to get to the highest.
it is God's energy. Just like you give the example of a surgeon, right?
Yes.
Versus a robber stabbing someone and a surgeon cutting someone.
Yeah.
So we have the intellect, and it's our responsibility to raise it to be one or to be two different kind of things, right?
Yeah, that choice we always have. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, Jyoti.
Raj.
Thank you.
Hello, Hershji. So the last shlok that you did, 48, is amazing because it says that you can achieve self-realization by mere listening to Guru's Vani.
Yes. Right. So 100 people could be listening to Guru. That doesn't mean all 100 will have the same effect. So it's not the Guru Vani alone. But Guru Vani at the right time will definitely pound on us. Sometimes that's all we need. But first, the preparation has to be done. So we are preparing ourselves and we don't know which words going to make a difference. And we say, wow. Don't we, they say the wow moment.
Yes.
That can happen sometimes Guru can just look at us. That connection.
Yeah.
But the presence of the Guru, but over here he is mentioning the Guru's words, Vastu Shravan Matren. Okay, so the student is ready and the master is there. Okay.
Amazing. Very good.
It's amazing, isn't it? And we do hear these things, read about it in the scriptures also. There have been many, many stories like that, right? So we got to do our part. We don't want to just wait here when Guru will talk to us. We got to do our part also. We got to prepare ourselves, right? So that the Guru's word will make such an impact that the whole life is turned around, right? Eyes are opened. Right?
Yes.
Yes, Jyoti.
Poonam.
Hershji, I think it was verse 43.
Okay.
He says, don't try to reach the self through the idea of the self, thinking of it as pure and thinking of it as one. So first we will put ideas in, then we will have to unlearn those ideas, because just now you said, think of Atma as sun. So now all these ideas that we have accumulated, then we have to unlearn, which is double the task. So why give us the description of things that we will end up unlearning later on? We will have to unlearn them. I think that's what he was trying to say at 43.
Yeah, see, there is a time to study. There's a time to contemplate. There's a time to churn over these ideas, but then there's a time to just let go.
But this is gonna be not even more. I think it's gonna be harder because we accumulate so much, and then
No,
we have
but
to unravel all that.
no, but no, we don't have to unravel, but with the help of all this, this is like preparing us to move even up.
But the ideas are the hardest because they are the subtle. It is gonna be even harder for us to get to unlearn those ideas that we have put in our mind over the years.
Yeah, maybe for somebody, but to me, I think it's good to know this knowledge has the power. But ultimately, when we practice, if we keep on churning about it, so to me, I think he's talking about at the time of meditation. Just don't think that you are meditating. Don't contemplate at that time. So there's a time to do swadhyay and there's a time to meditate. And there's a time will come when you don't have to even think about your meditating. So if we don't put the ideas in the mind, then the mind has a lot of other rubbish ideas. So in this mind, which has all the worldly ideas, we got to put godly ideas in there. It's needed.
That I agree that we have to give something to the mind to
Yeah.
chew on, but why give it something that we have to experience like Atma? Why give something that we have to experience it because it cannot be put into words?
Because mind does need, there's a time when mind does need ideas. Okay, see, when we are preparing the mind, it does need these ideas. Now he's talking about this at a very higher stage. When that time comes, then let that go also. At initial stages, if you don't put the ideas like this,
But when that time comes, I think that will automatically should slip off. When that time comes,
it will slip off, but he is telling us that it will slip off. Do not hold on to it. That's what he's saying. It will happen spontaneously, but we need to have a little inkling about it too. So he's just telling us this will happen. Okay, if somebody can do without, that's fine too. But to me, I think the divine ideas need to be put into the mind. Otherwise, we are wishing that it will happen. The powerful ideas about these essential objects, they just keep on going. And that's what we see in the majority of the people. They are too enchanting. That's why he called them the lions, the sense objects, the ideas. So we need to put divine ideas and then practice also. But ultimately, in the final stages, do not hold on to this duality. Just surrender. That's what he's saying. Okay. So again, this is Ashtavakraji's. If this doesn't work with somebody, he says, okay, all right. So this is a great Rishi teaching us, right? I mean, see, this is the beauty of this philosophy. It's okay to disagree. It's okay. If something else is working, do that. Because people have attained the same level of oneness just with a bhakti also. Without any meditation, without anything, just a bhakti alone. Idea is to surrender. The surrender is needed, whether it's in the Gyan path or a Karam path or a Bhakti path or even a Hatha Yoga path. When you just are trying to attain with the help of this body, the higher levels of your being, with the help of the body, that's a Hatha Yoga, Kundalini, right? So, anybody else? Who was supposed to?
Hersh, this is Raj.
Raj?
Like I had mentioned before, once I had gone to a meditation place in Chandigarh, and they had sign at the door also, Kripya apni buddhi aur joote bahar chhod ke aaye.
Yeah.
And that you've learned enough, but leave it now before
Yes.
you come in.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You got to just let go. When you are meditating, let go. Buddhi is needed for studies. Studies are needed too. So, because we are very complex beings, very complex.
Thanks.
Okay, who wants to, Poonam, you wanted to sing today or was it Neeru?
Neeru was gonna sing today.
Neeru didn't come today? Okay.
Oh, she didn't come?
Surekha doesn't sing. I think Manny, why don't you, if you are there,
It's not here.
Yes.
if nobody else is singing, so.
Okay, give me a second. I'll put the meditation on
Yeah, we
music.
can always count on Manny.
My sound is not on? Okay.
No,
It's on.
sound is on. Sound is on.
I think the Hippocrates app makes me in better position.
Sorry, the ad is
So
going to
much
go away in a
Thank you very much.